two stones from the exact same forest. One is placed inside a grand temple, showered with flowers, and worshipped by thousands. The other is thrown outside the dirt gate, smashed by heavy coconuts hundreds of times every single day. Why did one receive eternal glory while the other received endless pain? The answer isn't luck, talent, or destiny. It comes down to a single, brutal choice they both made on a rainy morning deep in the woods. Watch this short story until the very end, because the secret hidden in the final conversation between these two stones will completely change the way you look at the struggles, the pain, and the pressures in your own life right now. Let's begin. The story, Success is Not Achieved Without Struggle. Chapter 1, The Dreamer in the Hills. Deep within a valley where the green hills kissed the morning mist, there lay a quiet village. In this village lived a young sculptor named Kalen. He owned no riches, and his name was known to few. Home was a small wooden cottage with a thatched roof, and he made his living by carving simple household objects, stone bowls, grinding blocks, and steps for doorways. Yet, beneath his humble clothes beat the heart of a visionary. Every night, as the fire turned to ash, Kalen would look at his rough hands and dream. He did not crave gold or fame. He wanted to create something so breathtakingly beautiful that it would move the hearts of everyone who looked upon it. He wanted to pull a soul out of cold, silent stone. One bright morning, the heavy wooden door of his workshop opened. It was the village priest. A grand temple had just been completed at the center of the village, its tall pillars reaching toward the sky. The walls are up, Kalen, and the roof is sealed, the priest said, his voice echoing in the small room. But the heart of the temple is empty. We need a statue. A divine image that will inspire devotion for generations. Can you carve this for us? Kalen's eyes lit up like burning embers. This was the moment he had prayed for his entire life. Trying to calm his racing heart, he bowed deeply. Sir, please give me just a little time. I will go out, find the perfect stone, and create a statue worthy of the divine. Chapter 2, The Choice Beneath the Banyan Tree. The next morning, before the sun could paint the sky, Kalen packed his heavy iron hammers, his sharp steel chisels, and a leather waterskin. He walked past the sleeping village and entered the deep, dense forest. For hours, he searched. He inspected dozens of stones. Some were too small, others were brittle and weak. Many had hidden cracks that would shatter under a heavy blow. By midday, he reached a clearing dominated by a massive, ancient banyan tree. Beneath its twisting roots lay a magnificent, large white stone. Kalen knelt. He brushed away the fallen leaves and dirt. He tapped the surface gently with a small mallet and listened closely to the ring. It was clear and resonant. His face brightened with a joyful smile. This stone is strong, he whispered to himself. A beautiful statue is hidden inside it, waiting to be freed. Kalen unrolled his leather tool wrap, selected his sharpest chisel, and placed its tip firmly against the white surface. He raised his heavy hammer and struck a powerful blow. Clang. Stop. Please stop, a frightened, crying voice echoed through the clearing. Kalen dropped his hammer and stumbled back in shock. The voice was coming from the stone itself. Do not hit me, the white stone sobbed. It hurts terribly. Your iron is sharp, and your hammer is too heavy. Please, leave me in peace. Kalen, recovering from his surprise, knelt down and spoke softly to the stone. I am not trying to destroy you, my friend. I want to shape you. I want to turn you into a masterpiece that will be loved by thousands. The process will hurt, yes, but the pain will pass. But the white stone wept louder. I do not care about greatness. I do not want to suffer. I want comfort. Please, leave me as I am. Kalen looked at his tools, then at the beautiful but weeping stone. He felt a deep wave of disappointment. Sighing, he packed his bag. I cannot shape a stone, he muttered to himself, that refuses to be shaped. Chapter 3, The Silent Witness. Kalen continued his search for hours as the sun began to sink below the horizon. The shadows of the trees grew long and thin. Finally, just as twilight was setting in, he reached the rocky bank of a rushing river. There, half buried in the mud, lay another large stone. This one was gray, rough, and unattractive. Kalen washed away the mud and tapped it. It gave a deep, solid sound. "You may look ordinary on the outside," Kalen whispered, "but I feel a grand spirit hidden within you." He set his chisel and struck. Crack! A sharp shockwave passed through the gray stone. It shivered, but it did not cry out. Kalen struck again, harder this time. Small, jagged pieces of gray rock flew into the air. For a terrifying moment, the gray stone thought, "Is he breaking me apart? Is this my end?" But then, it remembered the gentle look in the sculptor's eyes and his quiet words. It realized the sculptor saw something valuable inside it. The gray stone gathered its courage, braced itself, and decided to trust the master's hands. Weeks passed. The quiet forest was filled from morning till night with the rhythmic song of the sculptor. Clink, clink, bang. Clink, clink, bang. It was a brutal process. The stone was cut deep, scraped raw, chiseled ruthlessly, and rubbed with rough sand to be polished. Every single blow sent a wave of agony through the stone's body. There were dark nights when the stone felt it couldn't bear another strike. It wanted to scream, "Stop! No more." But every time it neared its breaking point, it reminded itself, "If I give up now, all the pain I have already endured will be completely wasted. I must hold on." Slowly, out of the shapeless gray rock, a transformation began. First, the soft curve of a forehead appeared. Then came peaceful, closed eyes, followed by a gentle smile, elegant hands folded in blessing, and the flowing lines of royal robes. After a month of tireless labor, the statue was finished. The next morning, the first rays of sunlight hit the figure. The gray stone was gone. In its place stood a divine statue, looking so calm, wise, and alive that even Kalen fell to his knees in awe. Chapter 4. 2 Paths, 2 Destinies. The next day, a grand celebration shook the forest. The villagers arrived with a wooden cart decorated with thousands of bright flowers. Musicians played drums, and flutes filled the air with joyful melodies. When the villagers saw the beautiful statue, they gasped. They wept tears of joy. They carefully lifted it onto the cart, showered it with rose petals, and began the procession back to the village. On their way out of the forest, the procession passed the ancient banyan tree. The first stone, still lying in the dirt, looked out and saw the second stone riding high on the grand carriage, treated like a king. The first stone was filled with bitterness. "That stone was uglier and rougher than me," it thought angrily. "Why is everyone bowing to it? Why is it getting all the glory while I am left here in the dirt?" It wanted to yell out, but a heavy silence trapped it as the singing crowd faded into the distance. The villagers placed the beautiful statue in the innermost sanctuary of the grand temple. They dressed it in fine silks, adorned it with gold jewels, and lit fragrant incense around it. Every day, hundreds of people came to bow before it, offering songs of praise. A week later, the priest spoke to Kalen. "The temple is perfect, but we have a small problem. People bring coconuts as offerings, but they have no hard surface to break them on outside the gate. We need a strong, flat stone to place at the entrance." Kalen thought for a moment. "I know just the stone," he said. He led the villagers back to the banyan tree. When the first stone saw the crowd returning, its heart leaped with excitement. "Finally," it thought, "they have realized my beauty. They are coming to take me to the temple too." But there were no flowers this time. The villagers tied thick, rough ropes tightly around it and dragged it face down through the dirt, scraping its surface against thorns and mud. They dragged it all the way to the temple, but they did not take it inside. They dropped it heavily onto the hard ground right outside the main entrance. Chapter 5. The Conversation at Midnight. The next morning, the nightmare began for the first stone. A worshiper walked up, holding a heavy, hard coconut. He raised it high and smashed it down with all his might directly onto the stone's face. Bang! The first stone screamed in agony. But before it could even catch its breath, another worshiper stepped up. Bang! Then another. Bang! Day after day, week after week, the routine never changed. Inside the cool, dim temple, the beautiful statue was showered with soft flowers and fragrant water. Outside, under the burning sun, the first stone was brutally struck by heavy coconuts hundreds of times a day, cracking and bruising under the weight of the blows. One night, when the temple doors were locked and the village was fast asleep, the moon shone down on the quiet courtyard. The stone outside, weeping from its fresh cracks, spoke into the silence. "My friend," the stone outside called out to the statue inside, its voice trembling with sorrow. "Why is life so terribly unfair? We grew up in the same forest. We came from the same earth. But look at us now. People honor you, bow to you, and love you. But they smash me and trample on me every single day. Why was I given such a miserable, painful life?" A soft, echoing voice drifted out from the dark sanctuary. It was the statue. "Our futures were not decided by luck, my brother," the statue replied gently. "Do you remember the morning the sculptor found you beneath the banyan tree?" "Yes," the stone outside groaned. "But his tools were sharp. His hammer was cruel. It hurt too much." "I know," the statue said softly. "It hurt me too. The sculptor struck me tens of thousands of times. He cut deep into my chest. He broke pieces off my body. He scraped my skin until I was raw. There were many moments when I thought I would break into dust. There were nights I wanted to beg him to stop." "Then why didn't you?" asked the weeping stone. "Because I understood that his hammer was not his hatred. It was his love," the statue answered. "He was not trying to destroy me. He was simply removing everything that stopped me from becoming a masterpiece. You chose comfort for a few moments, and because you ran from the temporary pain of growth, you must now bear the permanent pain of neglect. I accepted the temporary agony of the chisel, and it completely transformed my destiny. If you had let him shape you that day, you would be the one standing in this sanctuary tonight." The stone outside fell completely silent. The tears dried on its cold, cracked surface. It finally understood. The difference between them was never luck, talent, or worth. One had run away from the pain of growth, while the other had embraced it. One chose temporary comfort and inherited lasting pain. The other endured temporary pain and inherited lasting glory. The moral of the story: life, much like the sculptor, will shape us through struggles, hardships, discipline, and heavy trials. The challenges that come our way are never meant to break us. They are meant to burn away our weaknesses and reveal our true strength. Those who run from every difficulty to find easy comfort will find themselves unprepared for the harsh realities of life. But those who face the struggle with courage, patience, and hard work will slowly grow wiser, stronger, and truly extraordinary. When life tests you, do not give up. The pressure you feel today is simply preparing you to stand tall tomorrow. Final thoughts. In the end, the difference between a masterpiece and a stepping stone isn't strength, luck, or where you start. It is simply what you are willing to endure to become who you are meant to be. Right now, life might be hitting you hard. You might feel chiseled, scraped, and broken. But remember, the universe isn't trying to destroy you. It is just carving away everything that doesn't belong, so the masterpiece inside you can finally breathe. Don't run from the sharp edges of growth. Trust the process. If this story hit home for you today, do 2 things for me right now. First, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly reminders to stay strong. Second, leave a comment below with the word masterpiece if you are ready to let your struggles shape you instead of break you. I read every single comment. Thank you for watching until the very end. Keep pushing, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next story.